And then this guy came the following morning there with his file, and he said, no, I was sent here by the HR director. It's about my application to become a cruise ship doctor in my next contract. And I was like, man, you're a waiter. Hi, Dan here. I get a lot of comments and questions about how do I get a job on a cruise ship. Can you recommend me to the cruise line where you're working or you used to work? Can you please take me step by step on how to get a job on a cruise ship? When you as a doctor write a comment or send me a private message asking me how do I get a job on a cruise ship? To me, the first thing when I look at that, I'm thinking, how can you ask such a question? There's more than 50 cruise lines in the world. And you're asking me, how do I get a job on a cruise ship? Do you want me to go through all criteria of all 50 cruise lines, give you the company websites of each and every one of them, with an email address? I mean, come on. You know, I'm looking at these comments and I'm thinking, this is not possible. This can't be. What's even more surprising is that I've made so many videos that are on this channel explaining the requirements to work as a doctor on a cruise ship. And yet, even on those videos, I'm getting asked, how do I get a job on a cruise ship as a doctor? And for me, I would even say that if you're asking me this question, you are already disqualifying yourself as a candidate to work on a cruise ship. But anyway, I'm going to go through it again very quickly so that you understand how the system works. Number one, it has to do with your education and training. What are the requirements to work as a doctor on a cruise ship? One, you need to be board certified, meaning you need to be a board certified medical doctor. I had a crew member once on a cruise ship who came to me and asked me, so what should I do to become a cruise ship doctor? The guy was a waiter. In fact, not even a waiter, an assistant waiter. And he's asking me, how long did it take you, doctor, to become a cruise ship doctor? And I said, what do you mean? How long? I mean, from the time I applied, or I don't understand the question. He said, no. What I mean is, and then he asked me, and I was shocked. He said, did you have to start maybe as a waiter, and then from a waiter, you went to a head waiter, and then from there, you became a nurse, and then from a nurse, you got promoted to a doctor, and I was shocked. He thought that I started maybe as a waiter, or a bar waiter, or a cabin steward, and then I got promoted to higher up, and then I got another promotion, and then I got to be an officer with one stripe, and then a two-stripe officer, a promotion to being a nurse, and then from being a nurse, I was promoted to becoming a lead nurse, and from there, I got a promotion to go from lead nurse, becoming a doctor, and then from the regular doctor, promoted to the senior doctor. And I looked at him, and I told him, yeah, no, you're right. I started as a waiter, actually, you know, and from being a waiter to a senior doctor, it took me about 8 years. And he was like, wow, really? So, me too? I said, of course. Another crew member, I remember, went to human resource and asked to be promoted. That was ridiculous. The guy was working in the dining room. He was working in the dining room as a waiter. And he said he had some training in first aid. And in his next contract, he wanted to come in as a doctor. And then the human resource director, you know, just to pull my leg a little bit, sent the crew member to me with his resume there. He said, no, go see the senior doctor there, you know, the head of department, and, you know, maybe he can make it happen for you in your next contract. You come back as a doctor. And then this guy came the following morning there with his file, and he said, no, I was sent here by the HR director. It's about my application to become a cruise ship doctor in my next contract. And I was like, man, you're a waiter. Yeah. So, I mean, are you saying that back home, maybe you are actually a doctor, but then you took a job here as a waiter? But is that no? I've never worked in a hospital. I've never been a doctor or a nurse or anything like that. I just thought that maybe I could change positions because in cruise ships you can change. You can have a positional change sometimes, And he said, I just want to change my role, and I think, I'm good with people. I'm good interacting with people, and I know first aid, and I thought I could come as a doctor in my next contract. And I said, well, I shall take your resume for consideration. Well, why not, So, okay, so anyway, let's be serious now. So to the question that I get repeatedly and every week, how do I get a job as a doctor on a cruise ship? Number one, you need to be a board certified doctor. You need to have at least 5 years of experience. I know the standard has dropped quite a bit, but and now some people are coming on cruise ships basically with 1 year of experience, but serious cruise lines will demand 5 years of experience working as a doctor. But in the end, it all depends on the cruise lines. Like I said, there's more than 50 cruise lines. And each cruise line can have their own guidelines and, so it depends on the cruise lines. So that's for your education and your training. And then your work experience. Where have you been working? If after qualifying, after your board certification, you've only been working in a rural hospital, in a remote area. And again, when I'm saying that, I know there is a doctor on my channel who got very offended when other doctors were telling him that, as a rural doctor, you're not the best candidate to work on a cruise ship. But hear me out. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of candidates to work on cruise ships. And they're looking for the best candidates, obviously. So in a pool of 100 candidates, if there's only 6 positions, they will take the 6 best resume. And so when it comes to work experience, between 2 emergency doctors, one that works in a rural setup, in a small little town, that has a population of, say, 1,000 people, like Skagway, Alaska, and another candidate that is also an emergency doctor but works in a mega city, they will automatically take the guy who's working in the big city. Because the understanding is that he's seeing much more volumes of patients and he's under much more pressure, medical, legal pressures and all that stuff. And he's probably seeing all your gunshots, your stab wounds, your trauma cases, your heart attacks, your burns. All these things are coming in through the ER day and night. And so when you work in a hospital that has a volume of 150 patients a day in the ER, and there's another candidate that works in an ER in Skagway, Alaska, population 1,000, clearly they're going to take the guy who sees the higher volume of patients. That's just natural. Because, you have to think about the experience he's getting, the medical legal aspect of things. If a case has to go to court, that's what the lawyers are going to be asking. What is your experience, doctor? Where are you working when you're not on cruise ships? It counts. And then maybe one of the most important aspects of your question, how do I find work on a cruise ship, is the cruise ship research. Once again, there's more than 50 cruise lines in the world. Well, some went under because of COVID, but there should still be about around 50 cruise lines in the world. You have to do your own research. It doesn't make any sense to ask some guy who's making YouTube videos about cruise ship, some random doctor, please tell me how to apply on it. You understand, if you're really serious about that, if you've got the experience, you've got the requirements, you've got a wonderful resume, you are a fantastic emergency doctor, you have to do your research. In fact, if you're really a competent doctor, I don't even need to say that. You would do your own research. You can just Google it, and all the active cruise lines in the world are going to appear. And you can just pick and choose. You do your research. What kind of cruise lines are you looking for? Are you looking at working on a gigantic cruise ship? Is that what you want? Do you want to see a high volume of patients so that you don't lose your hands and your skills? Do you want to go into the luxury brands, the 5 stars plus kind of brands? Do you want to travel the world and see a lot of countries as much as possible, maybe do that for a year, then go for cruise lines that specialize in round the world trips? You can just Google them. Are you interested in the money? Is it the most defining factor for you? Then go work on commission-based cruise liners. And then your salary can shoot up on a very busy ship to $20,000 a month, $25,000 a month, $30,000 a month. Or maybe the money is no issue for you. The main aspect of you working on a cruise ship is traveling. Then maybe go on expedition cruise liners. Antarctica, the North Pole, very exotic places on a small little ship with 50 to 100 people. So you see, there's so many variations depending on what you want. Do your homework if you're serious about working on a cruise ship. And then once you've identified the cruise line of your choice, or the cruise lines of your choice, apply. You would have Googled them already, or ChatGPT'd them, and then you go on the company website, you go to careers, you click on career, or careers, and then you look for openings, and if there's opening in the medical department, they're looking for a doctor, you apply, you submit your resume, and then you wait for an interview. Some companies are working through agencies, through third party. So find out what are the recruiting agencies placing medical staff on cruise ships. Again, you can just Google that stuff and apply to those agencies, and then they will place you with certain cruise lines. I mean, you understand, all that stuff, man, is just common sense. I shouldn't even be explaining that, but I'm doing it so that hopefully nobody is going to come again with, how do I get a job as a doctor on a cruise ship? Like, come on, And then something very important that you should already know is networking. You need to master the art of networking. Selling yourself through your network, through your work network. And that's why the experience is important. If you have zero experience as a doctor after your board certification, then obviously your network of doctors is probably minimal. But after years of experience, your network is going to expand. Perhaps you know some people who've worked on cruise ships that have worked with you in your hospital. Get in touch with them. Ask them for recommendations. Use LinkedIn to your advantage. Have a paid subscription on LinkedIn. Advertise yourself. Market yourself. Sell yourself. Network on LinkedIn with people that you might have lost touch with, but you've worked together. Don't go on LinkedIn and try to link me up and then ask me for recommendations. No. I will delete and block you. All right. I don't know you. I would never recommend you. And the fact that you would ask a total stranger for a recommendation, a work recommendations, for me, it's a major red flag. And I would never recommend you.